Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sutra-28. Let the Kundalini Shakti awaken. Āmūlāt kiranābhāsām sūkṣmāt sūkṣmatharatmikam chintayetam dvishatkante shyamyantim bhairavodayaha. This sutra is about visualizing the Kundalini Shakti within us. Kundalini is the prana Shakti known as prana Kundalini. By bringing the mind to focus on the prana Shakti, the sadhaka must develop a bhavana of the Kundalini Shakti rising like the rays of the sun. The rays of the sunlight get subtler and subtler and dissolve in Brahmarandra. In this dissolution, the sadhaka realizes Bhairava. Āmūlāt kiranābhāsām sūkṣmāt sūkṣmatharatmikam chintayetam dvishatkante shyamyantim bhairavodayaha. Āmūlāt indicates the Mooladhara. Chintayetam. Let the mind focus here. Visualize prana Shakti here resembling the rays of sun. Kiranābhāsām. As the rays travel upward, they become subtler and subtler. Sūkṣmāt sūkṣmatharatmikam. They dissolve in Brahmarandra. The Brahmarandra is another point for visualization. This is also known as Dvadashanta, which is 12 fingers above the Agnya Chakra, or the point where the eyebrows meet. Dvishatkante. Dvishad means 2 times 6, which is 12. Shyamyantim bhairavodayaha. The sun rays dissolve in Brahmarandra and Bhairava is realized. This dharana in essence is about visualizing Kundalini as light resembling the rays of sun. The rays of the sun reach the Brahmarandra, which is 12 fingers above the Agnya Chakra, and dissolve. This dharana is based on visualization or bhavana. We discussed the nature of bhavana in Sutra 26. The Sutras 24, 25, 26 and 27 are one set of practices based on Kumbhaka Dharana. Sutras 28 to 31 are a set of sutras to bring our awareness to the Kundalini Shakti within us. The mind is brought to focus on the Prana Kundalini. This is Kundalini Dharana. How do we understand Kundalini? We see Kundalini misrepresented and miscommunicated by many in our society. There is an entire industry thriving on the topic of Kundalini. We hear people sharing even scary experiences on Kundalini rising. This is sheer ignorance. Kundalini is the greatest potential we have within us. She gives us tremendous happiness. She removes the ignorance within us. Ignorance is the root cause of misery. Ignorance is like dark clouds concealing the sunlight. The sunlight is always present, but not visible to us because of the clouds. To recognize the sunlight, the only sadhana required is to remove the clouds of ignorance. The Kundalini is our own Shakti, our own potential. She is Prakriti. She lies in the Mooladhara like a folded serpent. Mooladhara means the mind of an ordinary human being filled with desires and survival instincts. This is the nature of the mind both in Mooladhara and Swadhisthana. Mooladhara and Swadhisthana are like staircases to climb up. Both must be stable if one has to climb up. For an ordinary person, moving and existing in the Mooladhara and Swadhisthana is enough to finish the lifespan. But the potential is much higher, and this potential must be realized. The serpent has coiled itself 3.5 times and sleeping in Mooladhara. She is the creative energy that represents our infinite nature. We are not aware of our infinite nature because of our ignorance. She dwells as ignorance within us. When her infinite potential is realized, she becomes our glory. She is the infinite glory of Bhairava, and hence Bhairava is Purnam. Bhairava is Purnam with his Kundalini Shakti. Kundalini is Bhairava's Maya Shakti. But within us, she is dormant as ignorance. We must awaken her. This is the sadhana. Bhairava, through his Maya Shakti, is the Srishtikarta, the creator of the Jagat or the universe. At will, Bhairava creates and dissolves the Jagat. Creation is Srishti and dissolution is Pralaya. The Jagat represents Purnatvam of Bhairava. The Jagat is Purnam before its appearance and it is Purnam after Pralaya. Infinity always remains infinity whether you add to it or subtract from it, isn't it? This is the potential of Kundalini. When we awaken her, she manifests infinite happiness in us and we realize our Purnatvam or infinite nature. But we are awake to only a very small portion of her infinite power. With this small power, we do our own Srishti and Pralaya. We use this power and create a big circus around us. The circus becomes our world and experiences. When night arrives, we fold everything and go back to sleep. In our sleep, our circus disappears. This is Laya, which is our version of Pralaya. We should be aware that within us, the Kundalini exists like a spring in a well. A well is called as Kundam. In our culture, every temple has a Kundam or a tank. The Kundam is also known as Kalyani. One of the names of the Devi in Lalita Sahasranamam is Kalyani. Kalyani means most auspicious. A kundam in the temple is fed by the water from a spring. Our body is like a temple. We all have a well within us and there is a spring below the well. This spring fills the well within us. But our well is only partially filled, maybe 2%. This 2% is enough for an ordinary person to live and perish in this life. The well can completely fill itself only if we allow the spring to surface. The spring is the Kundalini Shakti. This spring is connected to the cosmic spring. When you try to locate the source of a spring in a well, it is always from the outside, isn't it? What is inside and what is outside is Kundalini. The inside and the outside are always connected. To find the spring in us, we must dig the well. This means removing the mud and stones from the ground. Once they are removed, the spring is visible and the water rises automatically. The mud and the stones are our ignorance. We are unaware of the scale of ignorance within us. When we start digging the well, the spring rises. The ignorance is visible to us. We are more and more aware of the ignorance. The ignorance can scare people. That is the reason why people say they have negative experience when Kundalini is awakened. This is not about Kundalini. It is about the ignorance. This should be the first realization. As we remove the ignorance, the spring of Kundalini will rise within us. This ignorance was blocking its rise in the first place. This ignorance exists at multiple levels. We call them chakras. The chakras block the Kundalini's ascent or rising. The chakras are nothing but ignorance or avidya. They are also known as energy centers. We are filled with fear, anxiety. We project the past and worry about the future. We have jealousy. We have identification. We feel we are lacking in life and many more. These are the blockages. There are 12 energy centers that block the Kundalini Shakti to progress. Sutra 30 discusses the 12 energy centers. The energy blocks or the chakras must be transcended. As we transcend, more of the ignorance is visible in our awareness. These are the fears, the incompleteness, the hatred, the survival instinct, all of them. We become conscious about them. So far, we have been unconscious. We must welcome them and not run away. If we run away, it means we are scared. For those who run away, the Kundalini experience can be scary. By welcoming them, they will come under our control. Then we will transcend them. This sutra is about bringing the attention of the mind to Mooladhara. Firstly, the sadhaka must surrender to the Kundalini Shakti as Om Shri Mata residing in the Mooladhara. Mooladhara Aikanilaya, in the form of 4-petal lotus where she is resting. The sadhaka must develop a bhavana of the Kundalini Shakti rising like the rays of sun. In this contemplation, visualize her rising as the rays of billions of suns. Udyadbhanu Sahasrabha. This is her Jyoti Swarupa. She is the supreme consciousness appearing like the rays of sun to dispel our ignorance. The rays get subtler and subtler and dissolve in the Brahmarandhra. In this dissolution, the sadhaka realizes Bhairava. As she awakens, the sadhaka experiences higher dimensions. All that is Kundalini. Awaken the Kundalini and raise it to the peak to celebrate life.
Shiva